everybody works together, and that means that they're contributing directly, and the plant contributes, plant plasma contributes directly into global warming because all these immigrants are polluting. So yeah. The plant causes increase of global warming. Global warming is going to be really bad because the scenario like how sea levels are rising, which is going to kill off agriculture. Also like how fire things like that, which means it's going to be collapse of the food chain, which means it's going to lead to widespread extinction. Like this is like 100% probably, and we're at such a rate that this is going to happen pretty soon. So this impact is going to happen pretty soon. Okay, so then secondly. They make the argument about like how like increased innovations or increased technology is going to lead to like more hegemony, which is going to be and then they make the argument that hegemony is bad, which is alright. Yeah, hegemony is really bad, which leads to interventionist war like terrorism and stuff like that. So when we have like immigrants coming in like creating new tech jobs and like increasing our military competitiveness, and that means that we're going to be even more involved. We're going to like intervene in other countries, which is going to cause a backlash and retaliatory, which is going to lead to nuclear destruction because everybody's just going to bomb each other with nukes, right? So when the PAN classes and causes Congress to like work together and like immigrants come in, then that means that because of that, these immigrants are going to help cause global warming and like nuclear war. Okay, then on to their advantages. First, accept my partner's argument about the double line level that either like these innovations are not going to be gonna outpace the other countries, or the fact that it's going to be such a great innovation that's going to like lead to greater hegemony. Like it's going to be such an awesome innovation that's going to lead to greater hegemony. So then on to the impact level. If these leads to greater innovations and innovations are better for our economic competitors, that means that our economic competitors is going to lead to hegemony. And once again, this is going to link back into terrorism because if they are able to make such great innovations that it's going to it's such innovations, and that means that it's going to lead to hegemony, which means that we're going to be like invading other countries, right? Okay, then on the impact level, even if you like don't put any offense on this paper and you like do them all their argument, the fact is it's still going to take a while to happen, right? Like when you put funding into these universities, like research obviously has to happen like this. There's still a delay within like how this the impact's going to play out. It means that our impact when we articulate that we're close to global warming right now, like empirically, like we are like imperial, like we like to enter these interventions for means that we're gonna probably the politics that are probably gonna be triggered before this these innovations are gonna be able to do anything and solve for like the innovations, right? Okay, and then an extended argument like they're not gonna be able to help the middle class. We isolate GE, like obviously big business is already only one capable of carrying this out. Means that the funding is eventually gonna have to big businesses. Okay, look, on to disease prevention. First of all, desalination is not purification. Also, the facts like they are also still linking to loss of biodiversity. Also, the facts on the impact level. If we're gonna export it, and other countries would already export it, but the fact that other countries have exported probably means that there's exportation of these technologies, and the fact is like other countries are already like working to do this anyway. So there's not gonna be any increase standards of living.
And cross-examination, right?
Yeah.
Let's hear. You guys still advocated for military intervention, right? Or sorry, no, you advocated for increased military, right?
Not anymore. No. Turns out you're right.
Okay, so
the military's bad.
But in your original PMC advocacy, you said that high-skilled workers are going to lead to military increase, and better econs can lead to military increase.
We make strategic concessions, which say, all right, fine, you're probably right. Actually,
how do you concede that was your original PMC advocacy?
But then you made an argument, and then you said, okay, we can see that your argument is right.
Yeah.
Okay, but
totally right.
Right, but you're still like your original advocacy was still saying like your disadvantage was still saying that we're going to increase the economy, which is going to lead to better military, right?
Yes.
So how and you still talk about that advantage in the LO or the MO.
Right,
So
and
how
we
on
say
earth does
that
mean that
the MG is dead on. That actually we were just wrong, and the MG is dead on, and that offense that you read happens to link to your case.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I'm going to give you one page on top for kind of framework, and this is also sort of my big response to the way this whole thing is gone. All right. All right. Judge, this has been the most abusive round I've ever been in, where they've used conditionality to the nth degree. Not only have they set up a freaking Tix dis ad that is, beside the fact that Tix dis ads are inherently asinine, they have additionally used conditionality to the worst extent, and it has been extremely abusive in this round. Additionally, their use of, I mean, you can throw in T, the fact that they kicked it right away is also conditional and is also bad. So on framework on that is the one interpretation that you should evaluate this round under a policy framework, that the AF and neg each get one option to test the viability of the resolution. Two, that multiple advocacies that are both policy oriented and critically based allow for an explosion of negative ground. Just look at what they did right here, where they were able to completely sever from their original, like they wasted 8 minutes of my life having to write up a whole text test out, but then they're like, meh, you're right, fine. And then they completely changed their strategy, which means that I am left here in the PMR spending 5 minutes covering the 12-minute block that they were able to completely change the way that their entire strategy worked. So it's been incredibly abusive in this round. This is promoting a lack of depth of argumentation, that they could just switch around to like who's on which side of these issues. B, that this is the internal fairness in education. B, the standards that this increase, that our version of how this round should have gone increases topic-specific education through more in-depth discussion and questioning of these policy options. Two, that this is more predictable, because how was I supposed to know that they were going to completely turn their own text out on its head? And ground, that we provide a better version of ground because we're actually like staying stable on the same ground throughout the entire debate round. And that this is creating shallow offense from completely abusive conditional negative arguments, that like I'm wasting my time in this last 5 minutes trying to recover this whole freaking round. Okay, so look at this. This TICS disad has gone crazy, okay? TICS disads are already asinine. Empirically, and my partner said this, empirically we have seen the TICS disads that we've been running all year have all said that, like, this is going to be the linchpin that the GOP is going to leave, right? And every time we've been wrong, because the GOP is not going to leave the table. Like, that's just ridiculous. We have seen that again and again that this is empirically untrue. So then for them to then turn around and use conditionality against us and say that, like, they can... that, okay, fine, you know, the GOP is going to like this, whatever, they're going to pass it, and then turn their whole scenario into a positive for them, like, turn it back for them. Okay, look, the sequester, Krauthammer said on Monday that the sequester is not something that the Republicans care about, that they're not threatened by. They turned this whole scenario into being like, now immigrants are going to be negative for innovation. Okay. All of this is ridiculous, it's abusive, it's severance in the worst form, where they set something up and then flip it. That they are effectively turning our terms, and they basically trapped us into this argument where now I have to try and fix it.
Also, they're turning their own case.
And
That was their original advocacy.
They're turning their own case. Like when they're in a position where they're advocating against what they themselves set up as their like original.
They're literally conceding our terms.
They're literally conceding our terms and giving us all the they're giving us the opportunity there by just like revoking the original claim.
Also, look, if they drop the water is good for constituency, that gives us access to their impacts.
They also drop the water is good for constituency, which gives us access to the impacts. But look, I think my partner said this earlier as well, that Obama has made green technology a priority. So let's go with this whole like messed up scenario that like this is going to completely mess up the whole politics, whatever. In a world where even if we allow immigrants in to be able to create high technology, right? Even in a world where it's supposedly going to create all these bad impacts of global warming, green tech is still going to be a priority for Obama, which means that he's still going to push it through, which means that the eventual effects of keeping the Republicans at the table means that climate change and climate change policies will continue to be enacted.
Also, specifically high-skilled workers who work for chemical companies increase global warming, and middle class doesn't.
And specifically high-tech workers who work for chemical companies increase global warming, whereas middle-class ones don't. I literally on my flow for this whole like econ competition thing, I just wrote what the hell, because this nuke destruction argument, like immigrants are going to cause global warming and war, like this is an argument that they set up so that they could then turn it around on us like this, and this like the idea that immigrants that are going to cause global warming and cause war is ridiculous. Okay, so on case, I get what they're saying with the delayed impacts. But the fact is that their TICS disad is null. Since it's not happening, since it works either way, the only impact that you have in this round is the impacts that we talk about, which is the creation of innovation at the universities that's going to be able to improve around the world. We have a unique opportunity in the United States system to be able to improve technology and be able to export it, but other countries are not doing.
They link harder to hedge because they talk about military, it's harder than econ.
And they link harder to hedge than we do because of the econ. So we are providing the only ones with actual impacts in this round. That's stayed consistent throughout the round.